All right.
We're live.
7:30. It's the appointed time. Hey, everybody. It's me, Stu Helm, the Food Fan, and this is our first pilot episode of the reboot of the Food Fans radio show, which is now the Food Fans podcast. And I have two co-hosts with me. I have Luis in the middle. Hey, Luis.
What's up, brother? Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for being here, man. And I have my friend Rick Crelia on the end there. Hey, Rick, how you doing, man?
How you doing, brother? All good. Thanks.
All good. So back in the day, I used to do a radio show. I think it's been about 2 or 3 years. I'm not sure how long it's been since I did the show, but I did it at WPVM 103.7 FM, a small public radio station here in Asheville. It's got about a 20-mile broadcast radius, I think. But with the internet, it's got a 1 million mile broadcast radius. So we might have people listening to us that don't live in Asheville. So we'll try to do a food show that people can appreciate even if they don't live here. But and I will say that I made a friend in Iceland because of my radio show. I had a listener in Iceland, and now we're friends. Yeah, so people are interested in the Asheville food scene no matter where they live. It's famous. He had heard of Asheville from Iceland and was and still is planning on moving here and opening a restaurant. He wants it to be the first Michelin-rated restaurant in Asheville. That's his goal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. His name is Carl. So, hey, Carl, if you happen to catch this episode, I hope you get here soon enough. I don't know.
That Michelin-rated restaurant food, for sure.
Yeah, that'd be fucking good. I'm going to try not to swear on this show. I already am not even 5 minutes in, and I already dropped an F-bomb. Well, we'll try to bleep that out later. So this show, like, it's a resurrection of my old radio show, but it's also like a retooling of something we were doing, Rick and I were doing, and then Luis started to join us, called the Wing Thing, the Asheville Wing Thing. And we were concentrating almost entirely on chicken wings. And so we're going to have a chicken wing segment of this show, and then we're going to talk about some food news. And we have a controversial subject that we're going to bring up later. And it was called the most controversial thing on Facebook that day. So we will bring that up, and I'll just leave it at that as a little bit of a tease for everybody. But first, let's talk about chicken wings. We had an official assignment. Now, on the wing thing, we always had an official assignment, and then we had extracurricular wings. And we haven't had the wing thing in a couple of weeks because we were tooling up to start doing this thing. And we were joking at the pre-show meeting that it felt like a month since we had eaten these chicken wings. But we got them. Our official assignment was from Tienda El Quetzal. And so Rick and I recorded a show about them already that I didn't like. And so I threw it in the trash. So we've already talked about them to each other, Luis, but not to the world, and we haven't talked to you about them at all. So let's start with your take on the Tienda El Quetzal.
Tienda El Quetzal. Well, for one thing, I think Tienda El Quetzal is going through a transformation.
Okay.
It's now becoming a deli and a butcher shop. It wasn't like that before. And what I find interesting is that now there's three brothers that are running it, and one of them is a cook, is a chef. I'm not sure. I have talked to him a couple of times, and I know that he has quite a bit of experience working in restaurants in New York City.
Okay.
So, because they moved from New York, they took over El Quetzal. It was run by somebody else, and they have somewhat of a New York influence to it. And that's also why I call it bodega, because really bodegas are usually really known as like that, with that name in the Northeast, New York and all. But really, like down south and even in California, they're known as tiendas. But it's the same thing, really.
Okay.
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, man. And but anyway, I think they're doing really good. They're expanding. They put some tables outside. People are catching on to what they're cooking there. And I wish they were more consistent with the kind of food that they have. They change a lot the menu for the Latin food. It's not consistent, but they do have a lot of I don't know, regular deli items like gyros and turkey sandwiches and things like that. So
yeah,
I think it's a great place, man. I really like it.
The picture, there was kind of a like mini celebrity happened on Facebook with a picture of one of their sandwiches that just
yeah, man.
Fuck up.
Yeah, man. In fact, you know what? I'm thinking I'm gonna go by there tomorrow, and I'm gonna eat that thing because it looked really good. And I really love the tortas from Taco Temple, man. But that one looked really, really tasty. So I want to go
It
try.
did, man. And people were all like, holy moly. And I just made a emoji face like that. It was looked so tasty.
It looked decadent. You're right.
Yeah.
Man.
And a couple of people had gotten it, right? Like a couple of people in the comments posted pictures of it. And they were like, you know what? It didn't look like the picture, but it was really tasty. So that's
a torta, or what is it?
Yeah, describe it.
The torta?
The sandwich you're talking about.
Yeah, well, what really caught my attention is that they say they made it with arrachera. And this kind of meat is very tender. And like, for instance, the one that John makes at Taco Temple is made with sirloin steak. Mm-hmm. And it's really juicy and it's really good. But this one, I'm thinking that also because they're from South America, they're from Ecuador, I'm thinking that it's going to have some kind of like chimichurri kind of like marinated. It's what I'm expecting.
Okay.
So, I don't know. I'll tell you tomorrow, though, because I do want to go and have lunch there.
That sounds
really good. A lot of vegetable matter on it, too. It looked like a whole salad was packed in there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm really good. In fact, I'm telling you, I'm going to make a video about that because really, like the reaction that he had. And now that I know that some people thought that it didn't look like that, I'm like, okay, man, he has to look like this.
Yeah, so totally. If you put out the picture, you know, because for one thing, people are going to take their own pictures and post those online, too. Well, if you were to get one tomorrow and bring me one, that would be fine with me, Luis.
You want one is what you're saying, man. You know, I'll tell you what, if I don't make it tomorrow, I definitely have to go there on Saturday. So I'll make it happen this weekend. So.
Oh, man, that would be so great. I'll make it worth your while.
Cool. Right on, brother. Right on.
Now, Rick, let's talk to you because Luis just straight up brought up the fact that he wished the food there was a little more consistent. And let's talk about your experience with their wings and then my experience with their wings.
Yeah. So I was really looking forward to it based on the photos and what Luis had told us. And so I got there, but I got there really late on a Saturday. I was helping, it's like on a Tuesday. I was helping a friend of mine do some landscaping up at Weaverville. And I stopped back by there, and it was after 5. They were technically open till 8, but the kitchen looked pretty shut down. And so I ended up getting the buffalo wings, and I got a few groceries too. It's got the market. And got home. The wings the flavor was good. They were dry. Not as much sauce on them as I was expecting.
Wow.
And I think maybe they were leftovers that they pulled out because they had already packed the kitchen up, something like that. So I plan to go back sometime when I'm up that way again and go in the middle of the day, lunchtime. So
here's a tip also. If you go around lunchtime, you're going to be able to see fresh food on the bar. And that's not going to be like wings. That's going to be more like Latin food. And that what I mean by not being consistent is not that it's not good. Every time I had it, I liked it, but you never really know what they're going to have.
Okay.
Every time I shut up, it's like, well, that looks good. And it does end up great. So just don't think that you're going to go and find the same thing.
Okay. So, like, that's a different kind of inconsistency than what I was thinking. Like, the menu itself changes a lot.
Yeah, like I'm almost thinking also about the torta. I'm waiting to see if they're actually going to have it or not.
Okay. That's something in this town, man. Especially you promote other people's food and, and post a beautiful picture and then it's no longer available. So it's hard to keep up. Now, Rick had his experience with their wings. And what's funny is that when he described the wings that he had to me, I was like, oh, those sound like wings that I would really like because I really love overcooked wings, like almost like jerky on the bone. And a couple of weeks ago on the wing thing, I had described how I really like the wings at the fresh market toward the end of the day. And it was just like scraps. Other people would be like, oh my God, that should be free because they're scraps. And I'm like, I'll pay. So I think I would have really enjoyed the wings that Rick had. But my wings that I had from the tienda were much different than that. They were fresh and they were juicy and they were delicious and I loved them. And there was an abundance of them. You remember because you brought them to me, Luis. There was a ton of them. sent me a party pack of all 3 kinds. There were 2 sweet kinds and a buffalo kind. I found the buffalo to be real authentic and a really good flavor and very saucy. And I found the sweet ones to be good flavor and great wings and saucy as well. They were a little too sweet for my taste until I reheated them. And, you know, one of my tests for wings is how do they reheat the next day or even 2 days later. And these, all 3, because I had so many of them from Tienda, I reheated them a couple of times. And they were so good reheated. Like, they were some of the best reheated wings ever. And especially those sweet ones, because the sauce cooked onto it. And I don't know, maybe some of the sweetness cooked off or whatever. I don't know how that works. But they were, so I had a really positive experience with the wings and from the Tienda Quetzal. And I would recommend them, especially for parties. They come in a big honking tray.
Yeah,
and
man.
Dude included half a bucket of his house-made ranch, or I'm not sure if he calls it a ranch or just a dipping sauce of some kind.
I don't remember, man. I think it was a ranch.
It was freaking good, though. See, I almost dropped another F-bomb.
Man, I'm getting hungry again.
Getting hungry. Don't do it. I was going to have a new rule after last week's episode where Rick showed up hangry. You got to eat before the show. Because you can't be hungry on the show. Rick was like, I can't wait for the show to be over. So shout out to Tienda Quetzal. And I know that one of your goals, one of your stated goals, and one of his goals is to get more American Anglo.
Definitely.
And so I think that's happening. Just the sheer... The response to that picture of that sandwich was incredible. So,
you know, every time I've been there come American people that either recognize me or they like, we start talking and they say, oh, I seen it. And, you know, like the people are noticing it for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
all right. So should we pick an official wing for next week?
Sure. Up to you. I mean, I'll tell you that, by the way, I went to, what is it called? The Funkatorium, maybe last week, and I tried their wings there, man. And their wings, I thought they were awesome because they were like some kind of rub. So anyway,
okay. Well, let's see. I should have planned ahead of time what I was going to suggest for our official wing, but let's freestyle it for next week. Let's all just eat a wing or 2 different kinds of wings, and then we'll talk about it next week. Freestyle.
Right. So, sounds good.
Yeah. And, you know, tonight is Thursday, so the Deli Lama food truck has their own wing thing every Thursday, so we're all currently missing that.
Yes.
I know.
I planned to go down before.
Me too.
I had other stuff going on, and I had to make dinner, and I was like, I'm not going downtown, so.
Yeah, I decided to take a shower and be pretty for the podcast. And I even trimmed my beard because Davine gave me such a hard time about it.
That's funny, man. That's
She said it looked like a dead cat wrapped around my neck. Oh, shit. All right, well, let's talk about hot dog season is coming, and I couldn't be more excited. Now, hot dog season for me goes from, like, June 1st until May 31st. And so it's about to start, and it never ends.
Oh, man.
But for real, summertime is hot dog time to me. We grew up, I'm from up north, so when we barbecue up north, it means hot dogs and hamburgers on the grill. So that's how I grew up, eating all summer hot dogs. And so I'm excited about them. And I am planning to do a pop-up, a hot dog pop-up. And I've done them in the past, and they're always called punk rock hot dogs. And so keep you guys posted on it. But let me, we're going to talk about our controversial topic, but let me bring up another controversy that's kind of similar. People are always hating on ketchup on a hot dog. And I when I was a little kid, I didn't like mustard. Like, it was too mustardy or whatever for me. And so I always put ketchup on my hot dog. So I grew up eating ketchup on a hot dog. My family never shamed me over it. And then I grow up and I find out, oh, the whole world has a certain disdain for ketchup on a hot dog. But what's funny to me is the world will straight up put like mayonnaise and pineapple and jalapeno on a hot dog and they'll put an old boot on a hot dog if Chef Shishi tells them it's okay to do that, but they won't put ketchup on a hot dog. I think that's crazy.
Is that something here? I've never heard of that. Like that's because when I get a hot dog, it's ketchup, mustard, onions, chili, and if I'm feeling sporty, like slaw or crab.
Sporty, I like that.
You know,
like that. What about you, Luis? What do you put on a hot dog?
So check this out. So to me, my favorite American food is hot dog and hamburgers.
Of course.
Don't care about this turkey thing for Thanksgiving and things like that, or the grape. No, none of that. So, but really, hot dogs in Mexico are very different than here.
Okay.
I like them both now, but when I arrived here, I thought it was weird that they didn't have mayonnaise. In Mexico, you have to have mayonnaise.
Yep.
You have chopped tomatoes, chopped onions,
Yep.
and jalapenos.
Yeah.
And then you have the ketchup and the mustard on it. And to me, that's a great hot dog, man.
Totally.
Usually, really, at home we made them boiled, but on the carts in Mexico, it also depends where you are in Mexico. Like in Mexico City, they make them like the way I told you. But if you're in the south of Mexico, they grill them there. The carts are even different. They grill them and they have bacon around them.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Yeah, man. They're also good, but I'll be honest with you, I didn't like them as much. I think that the frying it and also the fat of the bacon, it gets a little too much for me.
Too much. Things can be too much, man. They can.
And check this out. I went to college in Guadalajara, and this is a huge city in Mexico, 4 million people. And I remember there was a place that we called Dogos that we went to for lunch, and it was hot dogs. The hot dogs were bizarre, man, because they put a lot of freaking sour cream on them. So check this out. So imagine just the bread, the bun, a boiled hot dog in it, and some kind of sour cream, man. It was some kind of like heavy cream on top of it, and it was quite a bit.
That sounds bizarre.
It was, and then they put onions and tomatoes, and I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, no ketchup, because that cream flavor is rich.
Yeah, sounds rich.
I remember I loved them, man. Now I think it's gonna be sorry that I ate that. No, because I remember the picture visually. I remember how it looked. I just imagined something with a bunch of sour cream on top.
Yeah, totally.
Weird.
When I did my punk rock hot dogs pop up at the old Klingman Cafe, one of the chefs was I think he was from Argentina, or a cook, and he said, "Oh, you should put mayonnaise and pineapple on it, just like straight up pineapple chunks." And I have a strong imagination, so I was like, "That sounds good," and I did it. And no, he was from Colombia, and we called it the Colombian, and we sold a lot of them, man. And I had hot dogs. I had one called the couch potato that had like every snack food you could imagine, like all crumbled up on it, like Funyuns and potato chips, Cheese Whiz, and it was good. And so I'll eat a hot dog with just ketchup on it, like old school little kid style.
Oh yeah.
But my classic is ketchup, mustard, and relish. And then I don't really like raw onions that much, but they're fine. Up in the north, they have something called a coney dog, and the traditional one has chili made from beef hearts on it, and it's really rich and iron rich, and it's really good. So, yeah, you can tell I'm pumped about hot dog season.
What's the weirdest dogs in town?
What's that?
Where do you like to get hot dogs at in town?
Anywhere, everywhere. I don't have a favorite.
I have a favorite. Check this out. I like Target, man. When I go to Target, I'm not kidding. Look, that's how crazy it is for me. I'm serious. Look. That's how
I don't doubt it, man.
Because I go there and there's hot dogs already.
Yeah, there are. I think I've eaten a Target hot dog.
That is my guilty pleasure, man.
That's funny.
Yeah.
You see me one day? Huh?
You know who's got a great hot dog, and I don't even know if they're still there, but there used to be a food truck in the parking lot of the Home Depot, and it was run by a bunch of ladies, and the hot dogs were on point. They were Nathan's hot dogs, and all of their food was really good. So I did have a favorite. I wrote a review of that when I first started writing reviews, and it was one of the reviews that people were like, "What is wrong with this guy? He just wrote a review of a hot dog." But my editor, Jason at Ash Vegas, was awesome because somebody said to him, "Your new reviewer sucks. He wrote a review of a hot dog." And my editor said, "Yeah, but have you tried that hot dog?" And so I was like, "Thank you, Jason. It's a great hot dog." But so Rick, tell us, what's the craziest thing you've ever put on a hot dog? And keep it family safe.
Nothing real crazy that I can think of. I do occasionally do jalapenos instead of pickle relish, but I like a dill pickle relish. Okay. Like sometimes I've done cheese or queso on a dog.
All right. Well, none of that is weird at all.
Queso might be the most unusual thing I put on a hot dog.
All right, we're gonna have to get you a real weird hot dog, Rick. This is the most pedestrian hot dog ever.
Was it Foothills?
Oh yeah,
best.
Great hot dogs.
I would get the Carolina dog, and which was classic hot dog, but with coleslaw. And man, there's like I could just go in there and eat like 2 of those, and have a beer and a little fries, and I was so happy. So.
Yeah, and here in North Carolina, they put slaw on something. They call it Carolina, as if they don't eat slaw in the rest of the world, right?
Right. Yeah.
You want the Carolina burger? What's on it? Slaw?
Yeah.
Okay. I do love slaw, so I'm glad to be here in North Carolina, where it's the official food of the state. All right, so that's hot dogs, and we'll talk about them more. We'll talk about them all summer, and I'll let everybody know when the Punk Rock Hot Dogs pop-up is coming. And I've got a real exciting chef lined up to do the hot dogs, and I don't want to say too much.
Do you source it from one chef, or do you have multiple chefs?
Well, I want to do several pop-ups throughout the summer, so I'd like to work with a bunch of chefs, but one at a time. And I'm probably just going to source some Nathan's hot dogs because they're real good. And but I do want to source a local bratwurst, and I've got a lead on that. And I want to put local kraut on the bratwurst from Fermente. They've got this purple kraut that it's kind of reddish from. It's got beets in it, so it's going to be my beet on the brat. Get it?
Yeah.
Ramones? Any Ramones fans out there? No. Okay. Thank you. So. Rick, I know you're a Grateful Dead fan, so I should have made a Grateful Dead.
Yeah, I got mine.
Is that, yeah, oh yeah, there we go, of course. Classic.
I like me some Ramones, but I don't know all their songs. So.
Yeah, well, most of them are terrible.
You know, I was just thinking, how about the Stanley man? You know, the guy that sells hot dogs at the park, and he's been doing this for like 20 years?
Yes.
I don't know, you know Stanley, man, but I think he's a great guy.
Yeah, he's nice.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll talk to him for sure. I'd love to get him involved. All right, let me see. I got to keep track of time. Well, we can go over a half hour nowadays because we're not on Zoom, so we can keep going until we run out of things to talk about. But I did have a couple other things to mention. Did you have something, Luis?
I do, but go for it.
Well, I wanted to talk about this controversial topic. Are you guys ready to take it on?
Right on, man.
All right. I ordered 4 crunchy tacos. All right. I put it out there in the world. You can start hating on me. Send me your hate mail. I ordered 4 crunchy tacos. I went to the Yacht Club, which is not a taco bar. It's a bar. It's a dive bar. It's not even classified as a restaurant here in North Carolina because they don't sell enough food to be a restaurant. They sell mostly alcohol. And they invited me to come try their Taco Monday, and I love that in and of itself, that it's a Taco Monday. And they have crunchy tacos and then softy tacos. And when I ordered them, I ordered 2 beef, a chicken, and a bean taco, 4 tacos. And the bartender said to me, "Do you want crunchy or soft?" And I said, "Crunchy." And he said, "All 4?" And I said, "Yeah, all 4." And then I added, even though nobody asked, I said, "Fuck soft tacos."
Whoa.
I said it out loud.
Oh, shit.
Said it out loud. People looked at me. And then I said it on Facebook. And I love soft tacos. I've eaten like a gajillion of them in my life. So save your hate mail for somebody else. But in that day, I was in a mood for crunchy tacos. But then, I posted it on Facebook, and people
You got an avalanche of crap thrown at you for that.
I did, indeed. People hating on me like I've never eaten a soft taco in my life. Right? Like, who the hell you think you're talking to, people? Yeah. My last name is the Food Fan. Right. But then somebody tried to rope you in, Luis, and I thought that was kind of funny. Tried to pull you in as like the resident Mexican, I guess. Like, Luis, we need your opinion here.
Oh man,
you talked about a tostada.
Well, yes, I did talk about tostada, but I also want you guys to know about one thing that is called garnacha. Okay. And I think garnachas, well, actually, tostadas are kind of like the crunchy tacos, only that is flat. It's the same kind of tortilla.
You do that to a tostada, right?
Yeah, man.
And you have an American taco.
Basically. Yeah. And the ground beef.
Yes, ground beef.
Hardly ever use, really.
Yeah, but I actually like tostadas more because they're easier to eat without everything falling over the place. Yeah.
Well, the garnachas are basically a fried tortilla also, but it's not really hard. It just gets a little hard, but not quite crunchy.
Okay.
I mean, maybe just a little bit crispy, but it's still flexible. And it just, I guess the oil or the lard adds quite a bit of flavor to that tortilla, man.
For sure.
So that's a garnacha.
That sounds great. You described that a little bit in the comment section of the thread, and I was like, I want to try that. Do you know who's making any of those around town?
John is going to be making them. John and Water. We talked about it, and actually, I know. In fact, he just texted me when we've been talking, so I know there's a text from him there. Okay. Hopefully, we're going to make it happen either Saturday or Sunday. Is what I'm hoping.
Okay, cool. Well, let me know. I'll eat the shit out of those.
All right, man. I remember you, brother.
Yeah. So to me, it's just like the no ketchup on a hot dog thing. And Rick, you asked where that comes from, the no ketchup. I think that comes from Chicago, to be honest with you, and that it's bled out into the rest of the world. Because although you can get ketchup on a hot dog in Chicago, of course, there are some places that they have the big condiment stand, where you put all your relish and you squeeze, and then you're like, hey, there's no ketchup. And they literally throw packets of ketchup at you because they hate you for asking for ketchup. So I think that's a Chicago thing, but it bleeds over into the rest of the world because there are some people who are straight up like, ooh, ketchup on the hot dogs for kids or whatever. But then the hard shell taco, I feel the same way because I did look it up online. The old Google will tell you anything. And they eat hard shell tacos all over the world. They're considered kind of an American thing, but they eat hot dogs and hamburgers all over the world too. Yeah. And I just feel like I wouldn't go to, let's say, Colombia and start saying to people, "Man, you're eating your hot dogs all wrong."
You're right.
Like, you can't eat a hot dog like that.
Yeah,
you can't put
tacky.
on a hot dog. So I don't expect anybody like. It'd be mostly Americans giving me a hard time about eating hard shell tacos, and I'll be saying, "Hey, I know you people. You eat them too. Don't you're in the closet eating hard shell tacos."
But I think people do get very attached to food, and they do feel like it belongs to them. Because trust me, I get some heat from some of my Mexican people, man. They're like, "How can you eat that, man? That's not a taco." I'm like, "I like it. It is a taco. Did it look like a taco? I mean, it tastes like a taco. Maybe it was an Indian taco. Like I went to
the non-taco.
Yeah, man. I said it was great.
They're real good. Of course, it's a world where people would be trying to convince you that pizza is a sandwich. So, I don't know. Like people are crazy. Yeah, that's one I'll fight tooth and nail, though. Pizza is not a sandwich. I will fight with everybody on the whole block over that one.
That's fine, man. It's a sandwich.
Well, you're okay with that?
I'm fine, man.
All right. Well, let's do a little bit of food news. And Luis, since we have you this week and we might not have you every week, why don't you drop that piece of food news on us that you did before the show?
Oh man, what was I talking about? About Patty science, becoming part of air. Well, as you know, I really haven't known Patty for too long. I met her in September, but I really think that Patty is a very hardworking person, and I feel like her concept is very simple. And her clientele, her American clientele, has grown enormously in many ways because she became part of the school in Asheville in the way that helped her to be able to communicate in a way that even the videos that we make, I try to get her to say something in English, and even if it's short and it's not really like not a lot of people may understand everything she's saying, but I just feel like I knew that American people are very interested in ethnic foods, and I also knew that in my experience, a lot of American people are very fascinated by Latin culture.
Yeah.
And again, I feel like why not put the spot on this lady and really you seeing what is happening. So now her coming part of our air is also with the idea of keep on coming more into town and exposing her brand. So the lady has an idea to grow, and I feel like this is just part of that. She wants other restaurateurs to know her business and what she's capable of doing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let me just, for people who might not know some of those buzzwords, let me just say that AIR is the Asheville Independent Restaurant Association. Mm-hmm. It's a restaurant owners association, not like a workers union or anything like that. And it's a wonderful organization for restaurant owners to belong to. And having Patty, Chef Patty Sains, am I saying her last name right?
Science.
She's, I've met her a couple of times, and she's got a great personality. She's a wonderful chef, great business sense. And to have her become a member of AIR is, in my opinion, a pretty big deal because she doesn't speak a lot of English. Mm-hmm. And that can be a real barrier in connecting what we think of as the local Asheville food scene with other ethnic groups, whether they're Hispanic or Asian groups. And so trying to bridge those language gaps is a challenge. I know because I've tried to do it successfully and unsuccessfully more than a couple of times. And so it's, to me, and Patty is a success story because we got her signed up with Kickback, and that has not always been smooth because there's a lot of telephone communication involved. But she's one of our more popular delivery people, and her videos are so popular. She's definitely becoming what I would call a beloved character in our food scene, along with being an excellent chef and a very savvy business person.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, Luis, for introducing me to her and her food. Like, let's not forget the food is just banging. She's one of the most chefs.
So good.
And one more thing I want to mention about AIR that I think is great. When I was talking with Jen and Patty, it came up that through AIR, Patty is going to be able to get classes. And what is it called? Safe Serve?
Yes, Safe Serve classes.
Yeah, man. Spanish. So this is a really cool thing. And I was telling also Jen, because I do feel like Patty Science could be the spearhead of the organization tapping into more than 100 restaurants owned by Latinos in Buncombe County alone, man.
That's awesome, Luis.
Yeah. So I just think that, this could be really good.
Yeah, I think Patty's got the personality, the energy, and the drive to spearhead things. And so that's really cool that you think that she has the potential to possibly do that.
Definitely, I think so, man.
To just make our food scene even stronger.
The one thing that I was telling her, and I was talking actually to her and her husband after a meeting with Jen, is that somebody in her team has to be bilingual. Has to, like really in the way that she's pushing forward, it needs to happen.
Yeah, I think so too. And you know what, on my end, I feel the same way about Kickback, the delivery service. We need some more bilingual people working for us.
Yeah.
Communication has been really hard, and it's because we don't speak Spanish at the company, and that's our fault. We're a growing company, and we need to hire somebody who can, more than a couple people who have at least, if not bilingual, at least the ability to communicate in Spanish.
Well, I think, to be very honest with you, I don't know. I mean, of course it's going to help, but I do think that it depends really what you want to do. If you want to attract more business, I feel like you can diversify your brand in a way that the people can see themselves in that company. And that makes it more attractive to it.
Yeah.
Use it. But also you're really thinking about how to strengthen your brand within this community. Yeah, it will be great to have somebody that is bilingual there. And maybe it's not there all the time, but really somehow become some kind of like a spokesperson for your company. I think honestly, to be very honest with you, I think that's beginning to happen in Asheville.
I think, you're a big part of why it's happening, Luis, and I'm not just blowing smoke.
Thank you, brother.
Really
Thank you. It's been somewhat of I mean, honestly, right now I'm pretty busy, and I'm really grateful for that. And you're right. A lot of people have called me, and there's a bunch of things that I do, not just to Scuba Asheville, but I help them create content for their own. And I can see how truly they're becoming more open to the idea that it's not necessarily that they need to create content in Spanish, but that they have to acknowledge this sector of the population, and also that the public and the people are also somewhat beginning to demand diversity, even when it comes to advertising and everything else, really.
Yeah. At our company, I would like us to be able to communicate mostly with the restaurants, the restaurateurs, and the restaurant workers that we're struggling to communicate with now. Not so much that I want to have like bilingual menus and stuff like that. That's just you already told me a long time ago. Don't even bother trying to do everything bilingual. Just be inclusive. And so I have no illusions that we're going to be a bilingual company, but it would be nice to be able to communicate with the restaurateurs and stuff. So we'll work on it. We're working on all that together.
You're right, and I think that really the more we keep on going, we're beginning. At least I'm learning a lot from my audience on what it is that works and what they're telling me. Yeah. I feel like before, maybe I was a little too stubborn, and I was just putting things that I wanted to put out that I thought they were important. But once I start seeing how people react, I don't know. I feel like it's not that it's becoming easier, but at least I feel like I'm becoming more open to see what the audience is telling me.
Yeah. The audience will, the audience, you got to lead them and let them lead you at the same time. Like, it's a definite, like, it's a dance of, like, you got to make sure that you're paying attention to what people want, but you also, in some ways, have to tell them what they're missing out on.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I want to wrap up, but Rick, I wanted to ask you, I wanted to introduce a new segment of the show that we've never done before, and I wanted you to be the guinea pig.
All right.
Yeah, and it's called What'd You Cook? Now, me and my old host Joe Scully used to do one called Where'd You Eat? And we'll do that next time. But since you're a great home cook, I wanted to do a little something called What'd You Cook? And so just tell us something you cooked this week or the last 2 weeks, since we haven't talked in a while.
Sure. Yeah. So for Easter, on Sunday, we don't observe Easter, but I took it as a good opportunity to have a nice meal.
Yeah.
So
always.
I picked up a rib roast, but it was only one rib, so basically two rib eyes, and but I smoked it. I did a Spicewalla rub on it, dry rub. It was mostly paprika, and then I did a bunch of parsley on top of that and garlic, and I smoked it on hickory.
Okay.
And then I reverse seared it at the end at 800 degrees just to seal the flavors in.
Yeah.
We let it rest, and then I think I made asparagus and we had some nice bread and some wine. But it was I'd never just done that to like a big hunk of steak that would normally be like a rib roast, right?
Yeah.
It turned out so good. Like I still have a little bit in the fridge to gnaw on tomorrow, I think. So.
No, that was perfect. I'm so glad I had time to get this last little segment.
Yeah.
And Rick, do you just wing it in the kitchen? You follow a recipe? Or is it your own recipe? You modify?
It's about half and half. I have things that I've made for over 20 years now that I have down pat.
Okay.
And I don't need to look at anything. And I'll just go in there like this. Like, it was steak, basically a big thick steak. And I knew, I steamed some asparagus and I made some rice. And so I didn't need to look up anything for that. But yeah, I'll make, like I recently made poblano and garlic spread out of it's like sour cream and some other Monterey Jack cheese, and roasted poblanos, and I did follow a recipe for that. But yeah.
Okay. Well, Rick, if you ever want to share like a recipe with our listeners, just send me the written recipe, and when I do posts on Facebook, I'll share them with people.
Right on. I'll do that.
Yeah. And all right, well, thanks for sharing that with us. It sounds delicious, and I just want to say the Spice Walla spices that you mentioned, that's a local spice company owned by Marwan Irani. Marwan owns the world famous Chai Pani restaurant here in Asheville. There's one in Decatur as well. And he also is co-owner of Buxton Hall Barbecue and Nani's Rotisserie Chicken. And he's got some very exciting stuff coming up in the future that has to do with the S&W Cafeteria building right downtown. One of the most famous buildings in this area, built in 1928. Hasn't changed hardly at all in all that time. It's palatial, it's beautiful, and I'm super excited to see what Marwan and his people are doing inside there.
Yeah, that's going to be fantastic.
Yeah. Do you have something to add, Luis?
The last thing I'm going to say, just because you say the SW building, is that I'm going to be publishing in Spanish in Discover Asheville my 10 of the spots that you need to see downtown Asheville. And I do talk about this building.
Yeah. Oh, it's a wonderful building. So many beautiful buildings downtown.
For sure.
The second largest collection of Art Deco buildings of any city in America.
Wow.
Yeah. Second only to San Francisco, I believe. And one ahead of, Miami. It might be the other way around, but we're number 2. Anyways, thanks for joining me, y'all. And Rick, you'll be with me every week if you can. Luis, you come back whenever you're able. I want to get other guests. I want to get my boss from Kickback on here, Jenny. And I also want to add a segment called Delivery Insider, where I will give people inside tips and information about delivery. I'll just drop one right now. A restaurant sent me their menu update tonight at 6:15. They start dinner service at 6:30. That was a very panicky moment for me to try to get that menu updated. So there you go. There's a tip for the restaurants. Try to get your new menus to me before 15 minutes before service. All right. So a little insider tip from the delivery world. And all right. So next week it's Freestyle Wings, and we'll meet back here at 7:30.
Right on, man.
Sounds good.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Have a good one. Take care.
You can leave the studio